am delighted to welcome our next guest, Dr. Sarah Hill, Chief Executive Officer of the Western Parkland City Authority and hot off the press, Chair of the Western Sydney Transport and Infrastructure Panel. When I think of Sarah, two things immediately jump out. The first, her work as CEO at the then Greater Sydney Commission and the legacy of the long-term vision and plan for Greater Sydney that developed under her leadership. And the second, our fabulous twinning moment at last year's Boomtown, where we both wore outrageously bright yellow pants. And I was legit this close to wearing pink tonight, so it was a personal career highlight of mine to be mistaken for Sarah at last year's event. And I know I said I wasn't going to gush, so I'll just keep cool. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sarah Hill.
Who doesn't love faith? Thank you so much. Well, good evening, everybody, all my great colleagues and friends. It's now my great honour to be with you tonight to present the Western Sydney Leadership Dialogue's Patrons Prize. Now, as the name suggests, the Patrons Prize is an award that recognises extraordinary leadership in Greater Western Sydney. Past winners are people who have gone above and beyond the norm to call for better outcomes across the region whilst overcoming the normal resistance to change. On the topic of patrons, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Cameron Klein, a patron in this room tonight who's just been taking some photos, and pass on my apologies from Lucy Turnbull, who's not able to join us tonight. Now, I have it on good authority, though, that there was very strong support amongst all of the patrons for the 2022 Patrons Prize for Public Administration, to be awarded tonight to the Honourable Rob Stokes MP. The award tonight recognises the significant contribution Minister Stokes has made to shaping our city and enhancing Western Sydney's environment across his portfolios in planning, cities, education, transport and infrastructure. As you all know, Minister Stokes is presently the Minister for Infrastructure, the Minister for Cities and the Minister for Active Transport. But what you might not know is that I first met the Minister when I was President of the New South Wales Division of the Planning Institute of Australia, at a time before I joined government and when were, let's say, Minister, a little bit younger than we are now. Minister Stokes always took the time, however, to present to the Planning Institute, and true to form, on each occasion he taught even the most educated and experienced planner a bit more about the historical and enduring value of our work. Since that time, though, Minister Stokes' energy, passion and appetite for the art and science of great town planning has not aged. Rather, it has accelerated as he has championed greater equity, amenity and outcomes for Western Sydney. As the visionary behind the original concept of the Greater Sydney Commission, Minister Stokes put strategic planning firmly back on the radar of not only government, but most importantly our citizens. As infrastructure and density became the common parlance of Sydney-siders, Minister Stokes worked with the great Lucy Turnbull to champion a first for Greater Sydney. That is a more balanced approach to jobs and housing, turning the city's view from east facing to the west, tying together the state's transport and infrastructure plan at the same time so that it aligned with the land use plan. This refocus formed a foundation for delivery and a move from strategic vision to outcomes for Western Sydney, through levers such as the $20 billion Western Sydney City deal, GPOP, good old GPOP, the Westmead Innovation Precinct and our very own Western Parkland City Authority. My reflection of Minister Stokes' notable point of difference has been his focus not just on great quality architecture and buildings in our cities, but what happens in the in-between. That is, the quality of design and activation of public spaces in between the buildings, the missing middle form and the quality of connections between our green and blue spaces, making sure they are functional as well as beautiful, making sure Western Sydney delivers jobs closer to homes at the same time as better and cooler amenity, making sure we build Western Sydney in a more sustainable way, at the same time as creating a legacy for the next generations through the creation of the Greater Sydney Parklands. Now, no one can deny that Minister Stokes' work and legacy have been visionary, But on a quiet, personal note, just with you all here tonight, I also want to pay tribute to his support for and sponsorship of women in leadership. In preparation for speaking tonight, I consulted with some of my sisters working within government today and in the past. The likes of Kirsten Fishburn, Kirsty Allen, Alison Frame and Elizabeth Mildwater all wanted me to publicly pay tribute to Minister Stokes' integrity, his kindness and support that has enabled and empowered us to deliver for the citizens of Western Sydney. And so to end, I thought it only fitting, when speaking about Minister Stokes, to quote my own favourite references in planning. A quote from the foreword of one of the first great plans, the 1948 County Cumberland Plan, that states, "It is not a vaguely idealistic plan. It has been based on proven facts. And if its authors have looked upwards to the stars, they have kept their feet firmly upon the ground." And so I would like to say, Minister, that as you've looked to the stars, we thank you for keeping your feet firmly on the ground. We look forward to you continuing this ambition with your plans for the future.